Hi guys, it's Kelly here, the Sunshine Crafter. This is my first video with Miss Ink stamps and I'm very excited to be here. For this video, I'm using a new stencil from the Miss Ink stencil release, and I'm using the 6x8 fabulous, beautiful stamp set called Climbing Rose. This guy is quite large. That one image of leaves is huge, and it's like the full, I'm not sure what size, but the stamp is 6x8, so that should in and of itself tell you how big that image is. And it has great sentiments. It has a Mother's Day one, and it has like 3 roses that you can add on top. And I'm using a stencil just for a little bit of background blending, just for a little interest. And I'm using some Copic markers for simple coloring. If you're here for the coloring, coloring is not my jam. I just color, nothing fancy, nothing special. And I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black and scissors to do some fussy cutting. So to begin, I'm peeling off the large leaf stamp set, and I'm going to angle that because this is going to be a slimline card, and I'm making that straight up and down, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink up my image. And once that's done, I'm going to stamp my roses, and there's 3 of them. And this set doesn't have the coordinating dies, so I'll be fussy cutting them. And this is a new concept to me because I'm not very good at fussy cutting, but these images are pretty easy to cut out. There are no sharp edges and whatnot. The sentiment I'm using is Thinking of You, and that's going to be the one I chose from the stamp set. Now I'm just taking some light fog ink, and I'm just going to add a little bit of background stenciling. And I'm going right over my stamped image, and it's okay because I'm going to be coloring over it. And since the ink is so light, it's not going to interfere with the coloring. So I'm just checking to see if it's dark enough. Hindsight, after the card was done, it dried back a little lighter. So it's a little hard to see in the photographs, but you can really see the blending of the stencil in person. But due to the lighting in the photographs, you can't really see it, but it's there. But I should have went a shade darker, but I didn't. Now I also want to show you my Copics that I use frequently. I switched the chisel the chisel okay, sorry about that. The chisel nib out for a fine nib. And I do that because sometimes the brush end is too hard to control, and it's hard for me to get into little corners, so I switched out the chisel nib for the fine nib, and I only did that on markers I use the most. Now I just zoomed in here because I want to show you I'm just doing a quick and easy flick coloring, and on the leaves, which I'm going to end up doing is just leaving a little bit of white space because I like the way that looks. I'm not very good at coloring. It's not my thing. I enjoy it. I'm just not very good at it, and I can admit that. So what I like to do is a technique called flicking, and you just take the end of the marker and just flick it away from you. And that results in just a little bit of white space, and I like the way that looks, and it always looks nice. So that's what I did for the leaves. And the colors that I use for the leaves are YG03, YG17, and YG67. That's the greens I use mostly, those 3. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just add the lightest color. Now moving on to the roses, the colors that I use the most, my favorite like pink or rose color is R81, R83, R85, and R56. After I colored these, I realized I needed a shade darker, so I added RV99. You'll see that coming up shortly because I needed a darker marker to give a little bit more dimension. And again, like I said, I'm no Copic colorist by any means, but I just like to add color just, for my images, nothing crazy, no professional shading or whatnot. I just color to color. and try not to stress out about it. So now I'm moving on to the bigger rose. Now I'm gonna speed this up because it just gets a little redundant, but I just colored in I think it's my lightest color or the medium color, and I just went around and went back and forth from the dark to the light and so forth. And as you can see here, I couldn't really do the flicking motion on the rose because of the shape of the petals and the space. So I just pretty much colored it regularly, and then I just went ahead and added my RV99 at the end just to give a little bit more depth and dimension, as you can see here. I also scribbled some RV99 onto my glass mat and picked it up with my R56 because I didn't have a marker that was like in between those two colors. So I used my R56 and picked up some RV99 with it and just used that as my shade in between. Now here I am fussy cutting. This is no pretty sight by any means. So I just cut out, I'm not going to show you all three roses, but I just cut this one out here. And then I took a Memento Tuxedo black marker and went around the edges to, get rid of that white and make it black. And that tends to clean up the fussy cutting. Now for my panel, what I did was I ripped the sides, the top and the sides of my panel. I wanted a different look. I didn't want to use any dyes for this. I just wanted that torn edge look. I always liked that look. I always have, even when I was younger. The Blue Mountain Art cards from years ago, I used to love those. They had that torn, distressed edge. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I did here with my panel. Once I got that set up, I glued that down with my Barely Art glue here. And then after that, as a matter of fact, I am gluing this onto a white card base, but if you stick around to the end, you'll see the photographs. I ended up cutting off the white panel and adding it to a black card base. I think that looks a lot better. Another tip, if you're not happy with your coloring, or if there's something you're just not quite thrilled with, splatter it up. Just add some splatter, baby. I took some white Copic ink, added some white splatter, and then I added some black acrylic paint, black splatter on my panel and on my roses, and that does wonders and acts as like a camouflage for lack of coloring skills, dare I say. So my sentiment is to thinking of you. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with ripping the edges. And once that was all ripped down, I tore the sides as well. I glued that between my large and my medium rose. And then the white was sticking out. It was like kind of too white. So you'll see here in a moment, I took a black Glaze pen and just added a couple manually black splatter, like with the black Glaze pen, because I should have splattered it first, but I didn't think about it. So once I glued it on, I was like, wow, that sentiment looks too white. So I just added I use a black Glaze pen. I use this pen a lot. I use it for a lot of different things. It's really good if you want to put splatter in a controlled way. So that's what I did here. I just added some dots, nothing special, just so it didn't look so out of place. And then once that was done, I added some iridescent gems. And as far as the video goes, the card was done. But after I was done filming, I realized, I really want this on a black card base. So you'll see that here in the photos in a moment. So that's my card, folks. I hope you like it. I hope you like this video. It's my first one with Miss Ink Stamps, and I'm so happy to be here, part of their design team. And if you get a chance, just check out their blog, Instagram, Facebook group. And now it's coffee time for me. I had my coffee here waiting in my little mug collage of my daughter. And that's it. So here you see it on the black card base. I liked it much better. It kind of made it stand out a little bit more. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay crafty. Bye-bye.